The Uncharted series is one of the most popular things that's ever been developed by PlayStation. Nathan Drake's adventures are not only some giant system sellers, but they seem to be very, very loved. They get crazy high review scores, everybody celebrates the launch and announcement of the next big adventure, but surprisingly, I woke up today and they've announced a Nathan Drake remaster that seems to have managed to piss off a section of the internet. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and this is specifically what I'm talking about, which is the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. Now, this had been shown off previously. We knew this existed, and it's technically a bundling together of Nathan Drake's latest two adventures, which is Lost Legacy and Uncharted 4. Now, both of these games are absolute bangers. I beat the heck out of them. I really, really enjoy it, but I've been curious about what kind of remaster we're going to get. I always thought that when these games eventually came to the PlayStation 5, I want them to fully maximize the potential of this new console. I think the PlayStation 5 has some seriously freaking jaw-dropping graphics. These games were already very, very photorealistic, and now we have the hints as to what's going to make this different and why people are definitely angry about the price. So here it is. These are the technical graphical updates. This is essentially what you're paying for. Like, let's be clear, the games are great, but you can also buy them for cheap as heck on last-gen consoles. You can buy them on PlayStation 4 and sometimes even some of these games on PlayStation 3 if you're talking about the older Nathan Drake games for like $2. Why would you want this specifically on the PlayStation 5? Well, it's because of these upgrades. Fidelity Mode. For those of you who have a 4K TV and want super sharp resolution, above all else, you can enjoy some stunning environments and details from the Uncharted series. Well, you can do this in Fidelity Mode, which plays it in native 4K and 30 frames a second. There's also Performance Mode, which is 60 frames per second, and then Performance Plus Enhancement Mode, which plays the game at 120 frames a second, which is pretty interesting. This does have resolution drops, but, you know, it's pretty interesting. The more I actually game at 120 frames a second, especially in stuff that has very, very fast action, I'm more and more intrigued by it. I do think that higher frame rates, the more you experience it, the more you really kind of love it. I'm definitely going to check that out. Now, these initial details, these screenshots and stuff, I'll be honest, I think this looks freaking fantastic. The games already were visually a treat to behold, so seeing these games even better, that's nice. There's also, of course, going to be stuff like, no load times because it's on a PlayStation 5. They have specifically said that it's going to have some 3D audio and effects because that's one of the special features of the PlayStation 5. But once we get to the pricing, here is where the anger is beginning to rise up. And initially, I was happy about this. Now, let me show you. This is the tweet I did this morning, which has people kind of discussing whether or not this is a positive or a negative. But if you look at it, if you want the Uncharted Legacy Collection, it is $50 for the games themselves. But if you have purchased any of these games, if you've purchased Uncharted 4 or Uncharted Lost Legacy, you can just pay $10 and you get everything bundled together on the PlayStation 5. A full-blown collection, so it's a cheaper upgrade path than PlayStation has done in the past. I mean, I think these games are both freaking 10 out of 10 experiences. Well, maybe not 10 out of 10 because Lost Legacy is very, very short, but they're certainly stellar freaking adventures. The fact that this is going to be a cheap upgrade, to me, is pretty cool. But as cheap as this is, and as nice as this upgrade path is to giving you access to both of these games for the lowest cost possible, I've noticed that a lot of people seem upset because, honestly, the way that we're handling these remasters now is just so inconsistent. Some games have free patches, like God of War 2018, that has a free update that makes it just as beautiful as this. Days Gone, I've said this before on record, I don't particularly love Days Gone. I think it's a decent game, but you know what? With the freaking free PS5 updates, that game looks a lot better. It plays a lot better. It's at a much higher frame rate on the PlayStation 5, and I appreciate it more because of it. But then other games are basically charging you for a PlayStation 5 update. Games like Ghost of Tsushima actually charges you for a PlayStation 5 patch to improve the graphics and make it actually run at 4K. You had to pay a price tag. Even games that personally personally I love a bunch, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, this costs money. If you want to have the upgraded PlayStation 5 version, which agreeably did have an extra little chapter of content, it cost you money to get the updates that make it more visually impressive. I understand the anger on that side. In fact, I've seen a lot of people basically tweeting about the fact that this is weird because this is like if an Xbox game charged you to play the game differently on the Xbox Series X or Series S. Xbox right now is completely groundbreaking when it comes to accessibility of platforms. You can take any Xbox game, even ancient ones, put them into an Xbox and it's going to update it. Like this Morrowind, right now, this game is a huge soft spot of mine. I can put this into my Xbox Series X and it's instantly going to run at 100 frames a second in 4K. And obviously that's an older product, but this works for any Xbox game. Any Microsoft Studio game that I pull off this wall, I can put it directly into my PlayStation. I can put it directly into my Xbox and it's going to work perfectly in the best version possible. If it has remakes or remasters, it'll just automatically install it. It's nuts to me that Xbox has really managed to push the boundaries of what we think of as acceptable pricing. I understand that people are upset because everybody seriously wants Uncharted on PlayStation 5. I'm not going to deny the fact that this is such a huge W. Like, I think it's incredibly cool that these games are coming back, and the fact that they're getting upgraded, I am extremely excited for this. The downside is just the fact that we're really being charged for a patch. We're being charged for a graphical update. It doesn't have any extra features, it doesn't have extra costumes, it doesn't have extra content. It's literally paying for a technical update, which does kind of suck. It really makes me wish that this bundle was at least bigger. Like, if you're paying money for this graphical update, like if we're talking the Legacy of Thieves Collection, put everything in there. Put the older Uncharted collection in there as well. Package it all together. Like, these have already been paid for. Like, they were developed and profitable years and years ago. I can't imagine that this update patch is costing you guys that much. Like, this feels like one of those nickel and dime freaking situations. So many of these companies have realized that they can charge you these little tiny fees here and there, and most people will just pay it to ignore it. Like, a lot of people are probably going to put in their freaking disc for Uncharted 4, and it's going to have a big pop-up that's going to appear on the screen and say, would you like the $10 graphical update? And most people will say, sure, and click yes. Xbox just doesn't do this. Nintendo does this to a degree. I feel like the fact that Nintendo likes to try and sell you games again and again for a continually more expensive package, I know people get mad about that. Like, I love the upgrades that happen in the freaking remakes that Nintendo does, but Nintendo does definitely like to charge you more price for their games that they're re-releasing. Like, it sucks that we're now at a point where some games are going to have to pay for the PlayStation 5 patch and some aren't. Like, I just want consistency. I wish that we had this nice neutral ground of rules. It's weird to me that Xbox continues to set the bar so high and nobody else is even attempting to match it. Like, seriously, Sony, are you guys hurting so badly for money that you're going to charge people to have better graphics on the games that they have already bought from you? I don't know. Like, here's my thing. I'm still going to buy it. Like, I'm probably going to get called a hypocrite in the comments, but I like these games a lot. I want to see them in 4K on my 4K TV. I want to see the limits of it. It's just weird to be paying for an update, but maybe this is just the terrible, bleak, boring dystopia that we exist in. What do you think about this? It seems as if there is this big divide. Like, I want to know your guys' thoughts, and I'm very curious in the comments. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? I guess technically, to play devil's advocate, at least this 4K patch exists. At least the developers are trying to update this game to make it an even more brilliant experience. It just sucks that we're having to pay for it. But seriously, tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a giant thumbs up and share it with your friends. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Also, if you're a Final Fantasy fan, go watch my video about Final Fantasy XIV. It has no spoilers and it was very fun to edit. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.